M2 Pro Mac Mini is a weird buy. Here's why. Now, it's not to say that it's terrible or anything. I edited some of my past videos, so the HomePod sound comparison, my DualSense Edge PS5 controller, and I did a little editing on the M2 Max MacBook Pro 14-inch video, that coming soon. Now let me say this is absolutely incredible how Apple put in a Pro chip onto the Mini for the very first time. Prior to this, it was mostly for basic use, because it is an affordable price tag, which the price went down, which is incredible. So starting at $600 or $499 for students. But in this video, I'm focusing on the high-end model, the M2 Pro, and which, by the way, I have it set up in the background right now as we speak. So I have two studio displays. The middle display is a gaming monitor from LG. It's the Ultragear. It's 4K. It supports 144 hertz. So I'm using it to the absolute full potential, using Photoshop on one screen, editing videos on Final Cut Pro on the middle screen, and then I have Chrome or Safari, sometimes I flip-flop between the two, on the last screen here. The M2 Pro chip does not disappoint at all. It doesn't. And you have media encoders, ProRes encoders, decoders, but here's why it's a weird buy: the RAM. 16 gigabytes is not enough for me. For my use case, it's just not enough. I find myself needing to close out certain apps so you can have the maximum performance on, let's say, Final Cut Pro, because the RAM just goes out like this. Final Cut Pro, sometimes it's taking up 8 gigs, even a whopping 12 gigs. And then you pair it up with other apps that's running in the background, forget about it. But I need to get at least 32 gigabytes, which Apple offers. So unfortunately, I'm at to return this, swap it out for 32 gigabytes. I'm editing my videos in 4K, 422, 10-bit. The only time it lags is when I have multiple applications running. Now, here's another caveat in my opinion, and this is understandable: 512 gigabytes of storage. It's just not enough, man. If you're a content creator, you're editing videos, you have this decoders and all this stuff, 512 is not enough. Now, yes, you guys are thinking, oh, you have external drives. And that's true. I have my Samsung T7, amazing external drive. I'll throw a link in the description. When you install in third-party plugins on Final Cut Pro, you need to have internal storage, not external storage. For me, for my workload, I like to have at least 1 terabyte of storage. I can handle the 512, but I would much prefer to have at least 1 terabyte of SSD, or even 2 terabyte, because my last computer, which was the MacBook Pro M1 Max, that had 1 terabyte of SSD, so it makes sense to upgrade to 2 terabytes. But here's the problem. Here's why it's a weird problem, and I'm pretty sure you guys noticed the trend. I want to upgrade the RAM, and I want to upgrade the storage, even though I could save some money on the storage. And I was on Amazon. You could get this accessory from Satechi, and you could be able to install M2 drives onto the Mac Mini, and then you have additional ports on the front. That seems like a very compelling accessory to have for the Mac Mini. Once you spec up the Mac Mini M2, you're very quickly gonna notice that's the same price as a Mac Studio. You know, at that point, you could just get the Mac Studio, because you are getting a faster GPU, you're getting the IOs on the front, you're getting better cooling. Let's not forget, the cooling is very important. You're getting that 10 gigabit Ethernet port on the back of the Studio standard. On the Mac Mini, you got to add that for an additional $100. So it seemed like the better buy is the Mac Studio. There's no complaining that price tag for the Mac Mini. That price is only $1,300. Now, that's not cheap, but when you compare it to the 14-inch baseline MacBook Pro, which is the same exact specs, same M2 Pro chip, same gigabytes of RAM, which is 16, same 512 gigabyte of SSD, that is basically $700 cheaper. Now, granted, you will need to provide your own mouse, your keyboard, your own screen. I'm pretty sure you have a keyboard laying around, a mouse, or potentially maybe even a monitor. If not, you can hook it up to your TV, and now you're experiencing Mac OS. And you know, honestly, I want to test out 64 gigabytes of RAM. I want to step up. My laptop has 32 gigabytes of RAM. I really don't need a Mac desktop, but after using the Mac Mini M2 Pro for 2 weeks, I realized very quickly that I need a desktop, because 90% of the time I'm docking up my MacBook Pro. The MacBook is made to be a laptop, so certain things might be a little different, but it's relatively about a similar experience. I love the Mac Mini M2 Pro. I think it's a compelling option if you get the base model or even the middle tier. But when you start getting to the M2 Pro, it is better, it is faster, it's more beefier. You got to be mindful of that RAM and be mindful of that storage if you want to store things internally. You can't rely on those external drives. You also got to be mindful of that 10 gigabit Ethernet port too on the back. But one thing I noticed with the M1 Max, comparing it to the M2 Pro, you have more encoders, more decoders. It exports a little bit more faster. It's a little bit more smoother thanks to the GPU performance, because roughly it's only 19% slower GPU. If you want to take video editing seriously, you may want to consider a Mac Studio or a MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro M2 Max, which I'm gonna review after this video, beast. Beast. That is an absolute beast, and you get an incredible. Subscribe if you guys want to see that one. So that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thumbs up the video helped me out tremendously. Make sure you guys click on that subscribe button for more videos like this one. You guys can follow me at Simplypops on Instagram, Twitter, and on TikTok. And until next time, guys, have a simple day.